These are the 5 mistakes people make with synthesizers. Check it out. Number 1, tuning. What I notice with tuning is a lot of detuned synths, but there's no real pitch to the sound. Now, you can do that when you want to be, create a tension in the music, but also if you want to just be in tune, if you're playing with like instruments that really want to be in tune, then you need to know how to tune the synthesizers. And I can show you some tricks on how to get your instrument to sound in tune and still have that detuned effect. So the first thing is the proper tuning technique. What I like to do is start with a pitch reference, some kind of pitch reference, right? Tune the first oscillator to that pitch reference. Pretty good right now. Listen for beating. No beating. Turn off the pitch reference, tune the second oscillator. Until it stops beating. Same thing, these are right in tune. Turn the third oscillator, pitch, control, until it stops beating. And notice I started with the first one to a tuning reference, the second one to the oscillator that I just tuned up, and then the third one I tuned to the first oscillator. So I'm always using that as the reference oscillator. And if they're both in tune with that, then I bring them all up and they should be pretty well locked. They sound pretty good to me. Now, if I want to detune them, let's say I have a 2 oscillator sound. I'll just detune one of them, right? But then I'll pull it down in the mix. So I have a detuned, slightly detuned effect, but a primary oscillator that's in tune. Or another way I might go, tune it back up. 3 oscillators. I'll keep one of them center pitch in tune. I'll take this oscillator down a little, and then the next oscillator up a little. Put them together. So I have a center pitch, and then 2 oscillators that are lower in level. One's a little bit down, one's a little bit sharp. Tuning tricks. Mistake number 2 has to do with keyboard control voltage tracking in the filter. Now this seems like a setting that doesn't really matter very much, but it matters a lot. It controls basically how bright the sound is going to be when you play at the top part of the keyboard. And it's especially important for bass sounds. So let me come over to the Mini-Moog and show you what I'm thinking. I'm going to make a bass sound, and I'm just going to make something without really hearing it initially. I got the range down low, a little more decay, a little duller. There we go. So there's a bass sound. And when I go into the high range, sounds pretty good. But if I have keyboard control voltage on and I'm tracking in the filter, listen to what happens. Doesn't sound like a bass anymore. And all I did was change the keyboard control voltage going into the filter. So when you're making bass sounds, it's really important to look at these 2 switches. Now on Mini-Moog, the first switch is 1/3 of a volt per octave. The second switch is 2/3 of a volt per octave. And when you push them together, you get 1 volt per octave. That's the typical tracking that you're going to find on a lot of synthesizers. On a Prophet 5, for instance, it's just going to be 1 volt per octave, on or off. On an OBX, a lot of the Oberheims, it's going to be tracking or not tracking. But if you have a little bit of subtle control, then you want to take advantage of it. And on the ARP 2600, you have more control if you want, because I can track the keyboard any amount. If I take the keyboard control voltage into the filter, I mute the normal And so let's play a bass sound here. Down an octave. There we go. Right? No keyboard control voltage. So when I go up high, now let's put some. So when I go high, got a little bit of a dirty pot here. That's part of life. And I leave those on the channel so you can see what I do. I quickly try to clean it. So I can get a little bit brighter up here. And it's always going to be the same brightness down here. But it's just when I go up the keyboard. So if you need to cut through, you add a little bit. And you can even go negative if you want. I can take the keyboard control voltage and flip it upside down through an inverter so that when I go up higher on the keyboard, it gets even duller. So it's always bright here. Subtle differences that'll especially make your bass sounds feel right when they go up high, because the real bass gets kind of dull. And when you have your lead sounds going, you can make sure that they're going to be really bright. Get them back in tune here. Let's do full keyboard control voltage. You hear how bright it is up there? Let's mute the keyboard control voltage for a second. Listen what happens. Put it back in. You hear all that brightness? So it's the difference maker if you want your sounds to be dynamic when you change ranges. Number 3, lack of expression. I think that's a big mistake. And I'm going to start, there's a lot of types of external devices that you could use for expression, but this is an overlooked one, a volume pedal. And this is just an old Vox pedal. You can pick them up for, you know, maybe 30 bucks, right? Some kind of volume pedal. It's not an expression pedal per se, you know, like a voltage pedal. It's just a volume pedal. So I'm going to pass the signal straight through here. So here's what the sound is like without the volume pedal, right? Good synth sound. Now I'm going to take the output. Ben, can you drop the level, please? And I'm going to come out of the synth into the volume pedal. You know, synths were designed to go through amps when they were first made. So this is just kind of like a tremolo. I'm going to go into the input of the pedal. Actually, I got that reverse. This, yeah, that's right. This is going to go into the input and then to the amplifier where it says amplifier. So we should be able to hear it. Bring it back up, please. So back to the normal sound. Looks like we lost a little level going into a pedal, which is normal. So I'm going to push the level. Maybe just for fun, I'll heat it up through a preamp. Because you know what? I'm going to take advantage of the fact that we lost a little bit of level and give ourselves a little bit of fun distortion here. Let's see if I could. Need a longer cable. There we go. So now we just, that same filter is going to an amplifier. So got the level back. But now we're in a pedal, so I can do some expression. Kind of like an acoustic instrument. The simplest thing, right? Just a volume pedal. Instead of it just doing this, now I can push into the reverb. turns it into a musical instrument. Here's another way that you can use expression on a synthesizer. This time, instead of using a volume pedal, which is an external pedal that is placed after the signal of the synthesizer, this is kind of within the signal. It's sending out voltage. This is just 4 volts out. This pedal is a Korg foot controller, and there are a lot of modern pedals. They're less than $100 that you can get right now, and they'll send voltage, and I'm just using it to control the filter. So the reason I'm doing it is because I've got 2 wheels here, so I can get expression with the wheels, right? But it's limited. So let me put this, well, let me just show you first what the pedal's doing. It's just opening and closing the filter. So I'm going to put it on the ground, and I'm going to be able to open and close the filter and still have pitch bend and vibrato. But now I'm out of hands if I want to sweep the filter and do this, but I could do it with my foot. So what's nice about this is when I do a pitch bend, I can get brighter vibrato. Right? So this long phrase with the pedal. Three things at once. It adds another dimension. Without the sweeping pedal, it just sounds a little bit more normal. This is adding that third element that you can get more out of an acoustic instrument, like a guitar or a woodwind or a saxophone, you know, all that nuance. So I think it's a big mistake to not attach other controllers to your synthesizer and get more expression for your music. Mistake number 4, presets not being timed to the track. So, you know, no problem. You have a synth, you have a set of great presets, you find a preset you like, you're inspired, and you add it to the track, right? Well, it might be perfect, but it only might require just the slightest adjustment so that you could get it more timed with the music that you're creating. And by knowing, taking a little bit of time to figure out the front panel, developing a method, you can do it. And so if you look at the panel, like we've talked about, you can figure it out. So let me find a preset. This bank's got some crazy sounds in it. Let's go to, okay, so there's one. Great. Okay, Ben, give me some kind of beat, and I'm gonna try to make this work better to the track than just that. So if I want a bass sound, so what I might do is go to the attack time. So you can stop the beat for a second. I listen to that and I go, it's not bad. It's a bass sound, but I want to have a decay that fits the structure of the phrase. So what I'm going to do is turn the sustain down in the filter, and then get the attack time. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, another problem. It feels like it's slow to speak. So what's going on? I'm going to look for attack time because it's slow. So I'm going to change the attack time. What happens now? It's dying too soon. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. resonance. So just by adjusting the attack time to fit the 1, 2, 3, 4 phrase, then I can do any other changes. As long as you leave the decay time right where it is and we're timed to the phrase, you can make adjustments to the sound. Like I added resonance. You can make it duller. I don't know if you can hear that, but or brighter. Or slow the attack. Put a little resonance, make it squirt. But my phrase is still 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a little breath. So that's what I wanted to show you. By making one key adjustment, you can time your presets to the music, and then you're free to express the sound in a bunch of other ways because it's fitting the phrase structure of the music. And also, it can clear the vocal because you want to be aware of like what's the melody at any given time. Like your sound isn't always the star. So we want to look at who's the star. Maybe it is sometimes, and when it is, then you just make it a little brighter there. How would I do that? Filter, right? I'm not going to go over here and change the oscillator settings or the envelope generator settings. I want it brighter, so I know filters make things brighter. In Think Like a Synth, I talk about that, right? Identifying the modules in really basic terms. So if I'm going to be making this the star, I might just make it a little brighter. Maybe detune it a little bit. I added some pulse width modulation just to make it stand out a little bit. So subtle little things that fit the music, edit your presets to fit the track, avoid mistake number 4. Number 5, turning knobs without knowing what they're going to do. I see this all the time, and it's easier than it seems because if you just take a breath and take a minute, I think you could probably figure out like what one knob does, right? So I'm going to give you an example. So come over to the ARP 2600, which is sometimes daunting to people, you know, because it's all gray with white stuff. It's not color coded. You can't really see anything. But if you just take a closer look, let's take that minute right now and just look at the panel. It looks like there's some kind of flow going from left to right, right? I can see arrows and I could see words, right? I could read words that say voltage controlled oscillator, voltage controlled oscillator, voltage controlled oscillator. Well, now I know those 3 are the same thing. Voltage controlled filter, right? Resonator, VCF. So that's the filter. So it sounds like these are the oscillators, this is the filter. Let's go to the next section. ADSR, envelope transient generator, attack release, envelope transient generator. So these are envelope transient generators, which are envelope generators, right? So to recap, oscillator 1, oscillator 2, oscillator 3. The next center area is the filter. We talked about envelope generators. Let's read over here. Voltage controlled amplifier. So that's a VCA, VCA, voltage controlled amplifier. So I'm learning modules, right? By just taking a minute to look at it. Well, over here, mixer, that's familiar, right? And I see 2 inputs to the mixer. So it's starting to make sense. If that's inputs to the mixer, maybe these are inputs to the filter. And maybe these are inputs to the oscillator, which would be controllers that control what? Well, if oscillators make pitch, they control pitch. If these are inputs to the filter, then filters control what? They make things brighter, duller, timbre. So what I'm trying to show you is if you just take a minute, actually take a breath, take a minute, look at your panel, and let's come over to the mini Moog, see if we can find some similarities, right? Starting from left to right, because most things go from left to right. They don't always do that, right? But most things do. So here, I'll pull up a chair, and let's see. Well, it looks like it does. They're just stacked vertically instead. Oscillator 1, oscillator 2, oscillator 3. And then I see range, so there's octave ranges, so I can change the octaves. Waveforms, I can change the waveform shape. A volume knob. Okay, this looks like it's the volume knob for this oscillator, volume knob for this oscillator, volume knob for this oscillator. What are these switches? Well, there's a line here. I see the line, so I know it's probably going to allow the signal to pass through into what? Into the mixer. The next thing in the chain, filter. Well, it's just like the ARP 2600, right? Cutoff frequency. So that's like the filter frequency. So what is that? Filter frequency. What do filters do? If we know what filters do, we can guess. Brighter, duller. So it's going to be brighter, duller when I turn this knob. Now I'm learning what knobs do. I haven't even made a sound, right? And I'm probably not going to make a sound for you guys. I'm just going to talk through it. Amount of contour. I have no idea what that is, right? Well, but I do see loudness contour. And it looks like these knobs here, attack, decay, and sustain, have to do with contour. So amount of contour is probably going to be the amount of whatever these are doing. And what are these doing? Attack time, decay time, sustain time. So if I turn up the amount of contour, then it's probably going to be the decay time of the filter, right? I'm just deducing. And then what's next? It's going to go into an output stage, which is just like, it's a mixer, right? And it's mixing the output of these three oscillators that go into a filter and takes it to the main outs right here. And it looks like I could turn the whole thing on, off, right there. Oh, on, A440, headphone volume. I've pretty much covered most of the important features on a Mini Moog, the exception of the keyboard control, filter modulation, oscillator modulation. So we can guess what those are. Oscillator modulation is pitch modulation, pitch going up and down, pitch changing. So when I push this button, pitch is going to change. When I push this button, it's going to get brighter or duller because it's a filter. So if I know about pitch, timbre, duration, and volume, which is what I teach in my course, then you'll understand how to find the modules that have those similar names, and you'll know what they do. And the more you get into it and the more you play around with it, you'll start to know how they respond to your touch. And then you're making music because you're feeling it. So big mistake to just turn knobs, right? Just take that extra minute, and then I guarantee you, you're going to know more knobs than you think. So I hope that pointing out these basic 5 mistakes will help you in your music. It's more designed to make you think, right? And make you think means what? It means make you listen. It means make you take time to understand the music and what it needs. And it means also giving yourself what you deserve, which is some patience to look at the front panel and determine that you can tackle at least a part of it, right? And have an understanding so that you can turn knobs and get the feeling that you want out of the synthesizer so that you can think like a synth. That's why I named my course Think Like a Synth, because I like to think like a synth when I'm performing with synthesizers, right? And finding a method, I think, is really important. I've discovered a method by doing this for a long time, and I think you will too if you put your attention to what I just mentioned, which is being patient with yourself, believing in yourself, and knowing that the synthesizer is a really powerful instrument that's worth spending some time getting to know and working with it to create great music that's expressive. Even though it's electronic, it can be a highly expressive instrument. So I hope you like this one. Please keep on liking and subscribing to the channel. Tell your friends. It means a lot to us that we can be here and talking about this with all of you. Go to anthonymarinellimusic.com if you're interested in Think Like a Synth, where you can learn more about this method. And we just really look forward to seeing you next time.